Greetings and salutations. Welcome back, travelers. Welcome. Wow, we are at week 6. We are at week This is week 6. We are at week 6, the halfway point. Like, this is literally the end of the halfway point. I have 6 more weeks to go. I can't even believe that it's been this long. Like, I feel like we just got to know each other. But I mean, it feels good. I really feel settled in. Of course, as always, I have a lot to discuss. Trying not to talk so much. So let's get into it. Before I begin, I feel like I did not mention this in week 5's check-in video. So I did complete all 7 out of 7 morning pages in week 5. However, because like I said, Mother Nature hit me, and I think that Wednesday I was down bad, y'all. Like, I was down bad. I was cramping. I was out. But I still did the morning pages, just not in the morning. I think that day I ended up doing it around 6 o'clock p.m. And I wanted to note it, but I know, again, I was having issues with my storage in week 5, so I didn't get to write all my notes, and I missed that. And I was like, no, I have to mention that. Like, I need to mention that in the next check-in video, because 1, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I gotta work it. Like, shit. Like, I'm not perfect. I don't need anyone out here thinking that I'm out here just like doing the damn thing. I mean, I am doing the damn thing, but I'm not perfect. I have my moments, you know. I mean, this was kind of beyond my control. I feel like it would have been a failure if I just didn't write at all that day. So given my past history with my cramps and stuff, I'm extremely proud of myself. It was a struggle getting through them 3 pages. I was writing and I was like, damn, I want to stop. Oh my God, would Julia understand? But I kept going. And in the moment, it felt like hell. But afterwards, I'm proud of myself for doing that. So I did just want to mention that. You know, life does happen. Shit happens. But I think it's how you respond to that is what really matters. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so Tuesday I had an audition. And for those of you who don't know, I'm an actress. Actress first, Afro-Soul artist second. Just gotta throw that in there. But I had an audition, and it was so interesting because I went to work that day and I wasn't going to go. I think emotionally I was just kind of feeling out the loop. And I was going back and forth in my head about whether I should go, but I ended up going anyway because I was like, no, like, I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of snatching opportunities from my inner artist when she's just sitting there in the corner waiting patiently for her time to shine. So I ended up going, and it was raining that day too, and I was like, oh, okay, like maybe they're gonna cancel or something. But I went on the dude's Instagram and they most definitely did not cancel, and I was like, all right, bet we're still going. But overall it was so great. Like, I'm so glad that I went. I think I mentioned this before, like, I just moved out here like about a year ago, so I got this girl's number. It was really nice to like just connect with other people who are interested in that craft, just see people, Black people at that, like my people, just out auditioning, doing the craft. Like, it just felt very heartwarming. I also ran into a castmate of mine from 2-3 years ago from Black Magic that we did in Baltimore. So that was really nice to see her, Lilani. And so yeah, like, it was really an overall good experience, and I feel like I just needed that. Like, if I didn't get the role or not, we're still waiting on a call. I feel like it was just still a successful moment, and I'm just really happy that I went. I wanted to note that, but I also wanted to note that because I wanted to mention my whole struggle with time management. So I do feel like I've grown since like week 2 or week 3, whenever I had that little crash out. But I'm still working on it. It's growing progress. Like Julia said, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We're gonna keep going. And the audition started at 6:30. I didn't get there until 7. I definitely think that I could have moved with a bit more urgency. Like I said, it was raining and all that, and I was like, yeah, I think I have time. They're not gonna start on time anyway. Like, I was definitely procrastinating and not taking it as seriously. I got a new notebook, and it was so funny because I wanted to go Tuesday night because I had used the last of my morning pages Tuesday morning, and I only had 1 page left. But because I ended up going to the audition late, I couldn't make the store in time And I was like, don't play with me. Like, I definitely got like a piece of paper and I lined it up with a page and made sure that everything aligned for Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday after work, I went to the store and got a new notebook. It was so funny because I wanted to get the same kind of design, but they were all out. I forgot that school started and stuff. Like, those shelves were wiped clean, okay? But luckily, I was able to find the same brand, same notebook, and all of that. And I'm like really excited. Like, I was just really excited to get a new notebook. I didn't think that I would use the entire notebook in the 6 weeks. So that means by week 12, this one will be done. And I don't know, it just feels like a full circle completion moment. Like, there's no pages left blank or anything. Like, the notebook is full. I don't know, I like that. That's fully complete. I don't know if that's my OCD or what. But yeah, so I ended up going to the store Wednesday because Tuesday I got there late. By the time I got on the train, you know, the store was like 2 stops away from the train, and by the time I got to my home stop, it was 9:55. Store closed at 10. So I wasn't able to make it. And I realized that if I had gotten to the audition on time at 6:30, I would have been one of the first few people to leave. I would have had a closer number, like a lower number, and then I would have been able to make the store. But nevertheless, I still made it work, but I'm just saying that was just a moment that I realized. And while we're here at the morning pages, well, my last notebook, one of the tasks for this week was about natural abundance, and Julia wanted us to pick up 5 pretty or interesting rocks and 5 flowers or leaves. And she also suggested to press them. And it's funny, I've always wanted to press flowers. It was one of those things where like I've seen, I just never really thought to do it. So when she brought it up, I was like, of course. Why, yes, I will press them. They're still being pressed. They're still kind of pressed, but they were really pretty. I don't know if you can see, but I really enjoyed myself picking these flowers. Ironically, they were all pink. I didn't plan that. They just happened to catch my eye. Another something that happened Wednesday was, as I was writing in the morning pages, I had a thought. I was like, am I gonna do this for the rest of my life? Like, do morning pages? And I just really thought about what that would look like, you know, because I didn't really think about it going into this, and I definitely didn't think I would enjoy them as much as I have. So I did want to incorporate them in my life some way, somehow. And then my next thought was, okay, well, if I do write every day, I would have to get a bigger notebook because I wouldn't want to keep switching notebooks. But then I was like, if I get a bigger notebook, am I still going to write 3 pages? Because that's more paper. Would Julia understand if I knock it down to 2? You know what I'm saying? But you know, I mean, right now, I don't think I would write every day, but I do think I would incorporate the morning pages. Let's say if I'm going through some type of project, or if I simply need to. You know, I don't think I want to be too strict with it, but now that I know that this tool is here, I definitely think I'm going to use it. I just don't know how much I'll use it. So just a thought that came up that day. And lastly, Saturday, my artist date yesterday, literally had a ball, and I experienced a moment of synchronicity as well. I went to the store and I got some paint, and I decided to paint. I painted a drawing that I literally finished drawing in 2023, the Recess gang. I don't know, for those of you who know us 90s babies, maybe early 2000s, but you know, Recess was an animated cartoon that came on Disney XD. Definitely somewhere in that Disney world though. And I think it was Disney. And yeah, I drew them, and I just never got around to painting it. And I was totally overthinking this artist day, but I was like, you know what? No, let me go to the store and paint. And the moment of synchronicity that happened was that when I went to the store to get the paint, it was 58 cents. Like, okay, I thought it was $1, which isn't that much of a difference. But child, when you're going through life and you know you gotta execute your finances and all that, you know you gotta budget and things, and you just be like, okay, like, well, I can't afford that this time, so we're gonna get it next time. And you keep pushing that back. I kept pushing that back and pushing it back. And so when I finally went and I saw that it was cheaper and I could get 2 paints for the price of 1, I also went with a budget too. So I was like, oh, I can get all these paints all these different colored paints. I was so excited. I also got a container for my small paints. I got 3 big paints, red, blue, and yellow, because if you don't know, those are the primary colors. And if you have those 3 colors, you can basically make any color on the color wheel. Basically any color in the rainbow. So I got 3 of those big ones, and then I got a bunch of small ones in like many different shades, pink, purple, green, orange, yellow. So that was really nice. That was really nice. And then when I finally sat down to paint, it was just so nice. It was so relaxing. I didn't end up finishing until midnight. Like, that's how long I totally forgot how long it took to paint. Like, at least for me, you know, I gotta get the cracks and crevices, you know what I'm saying? I like to take my time. I do not like to be rushed. So, you know, I was like, wow. So overall, week 6 was cool. Week 6 was okay. Every week, well, every Sunday, the last day of the week, I do the check-in that Julia has at the end of each week's reading. And, you know, she always asks us, did we go on our artist date? Did we do our morning pages? Any discoveries that we've discovered? And I definitely made a discovery this week. I don't want to go on this whole venting and like ranting session, but the big main picture is not allowing people to affect my energy. I had a friend reach out to me this week. It really just affected my emotional mood. It affected me to the point where I didn't even feel like doing anything. I was just completely turned off. And it had me questioning the foundations of our friendship. I was like, is this all that I'm worthy for? Like, is this all that you're using me for? Like, it's definitely giving weird energy. It's giving, I'm trying to see if there's like a genuine connection there at this point, because just because we've known each other for a long time doesn't mean anything. But I only bring it up to say that when she did hit me up, and I'm over here trying to be a friend and be supportive and blah, 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 and then I'm realizing that I still feel affected emotionally. It just caused me not to, I don't know, perform my best self in week 6, to the point where I feel like I pushed all of the 10 tasks to the last minute. Like, I didn't do them until like, you know, damn near today. And I just don't like that. It just threw me off. I feel like I was gaining momentum. I was on a groove. I was doing my thing. And then she threw me off my groove. Have you ever seen The Emperor's New Groove? And then I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Kronk or Yzma, but they were like, you threw off my groove. No, it was the Emperor and the old man. He was like, you threw off my groove. And then he kicked on the thing. He was like, sorry. That's how I feel. Like, you just threw me off my groove, girl. And it's not even feeling like it's genuine and stuff. So, you know, when I was doing the check-in, I really feel like that was a discovery. Like, it reminded me of the principles. And it reminded me of what Julia said, that when we go on this journey and we become open to spirit and its abundance and the things that it has to offer us, things are going to pop up. Distractions are going to pop up. And you have to decide how you're going to respond to that. I feel like I responded fairly well, but it was a realization. So, and it was on time. It was on point. It was on par with this week's theme of abundance, which is a great transition to the reading notes. This week is all about recovering a sense of abundance. And this week, Julia says that we are going to tackle a major creative block, money. And we're going to be asked to look at the ways that we own our ideas around God, money, and creative abundance. And before I get into the reading notes, I did want to just share my little opinion about money. You know, my little 2 cents. I understand the importance or the concept of money, especially in the country I live in and the culture that I am currently in and all of that jazz. But I never found money to be that important. Like, I understand that we need it. It's I don't even want to say it's a tool, because in grand essence, I do feel like it's a man-made construct as well. That's not what life is really about. I don't think that we need to be chasing the bag 24/7. Like, that's not the goal. But I will say that I feel like I've just always placed money in my life in a place where I understand that I need it, but I know that that's not what life is about. So it was very interesting for this week for us to tackle this in, because of the circumstance that I'm in right now. Well, it's not even like a negative circumstance, but it's just kind of like I'm ready to move things forward in my life. I'm trying to make a change sooner rather than later. And I was literally considering to get a second job. Like, I'm literally in the process of getting a second job. And it's like part-time, of course, because I already got my full-time. It was interesting that this was this week's theme in the midst of me trying to finalize that. It really caused me to ask myself, is this something that I really want to do? Like, am I prepared for what that's going to bring into my life, how I'm going to feel, and X, Y, and Z? But, you know, I told myself that I am trying to find a balance, and I do want to heed Julia's warnings. Like, I totally understand, like, what she's saying, and I am on the same page as her. But just because of my personal circumstance, like I said, right now I'm trying to meet a goal in X amount of time. I feel like that is what I need to do, but it is temporary. I do not plan on going into 2026 with 2 jobs, okay? So again, that is the goal, that is the plan. But yeah, I've never really looked at money as something that holds me back, but in certain aspects, which we're going to get into in the readings, I do feel like I am a victim. Like, I have fallen victim to some of the things that she says here, because, you know, you'll see as I like say the things, but there'll be moments where I'm like, oh, I feel like I can't get this because I need to get that and this, that, and the third. And I felt like with this week, Julie just caused me to really ask, yeah, do you really need that? And if you really need that, when will you do that so that you can create your art? So let's get into the juicy stuff, the nuggets. I'm just gonna read you some of the things that really stuck out to me this week, and that really, you know, again, just stopped me dead in my tracks and just made me internalize and think about what I was doing in my actions and how I really view money when it comes to my art and my creativity. For many of us, raised to believe that money is the real source of security, a dependence on God feels foolhardy, suicidal, even laughable. When we consider the lilies of the fields, we think they are quaint, too out of it for the modern world. We're the ones who keep clothes on our backs. We're the ones who buy the groceries. And we will pursue our art, we tell ourselves, when we have enough money to do it easily. And when will that be? Yo, when I read this, I was like, I definitely started laughing. I started chuckling. It takes a lot to make me laugh. Let me just say that. Like, and when I saw this, I was like, I started chuckling. I was like, Julia, stop coming for me. Talking about, and when will that be? I don't know, Julia. That's what I'm trying to figure out. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here with you. Oh, my goodness. We want a God that feels like a fat paycheck and a license to spend as we please. Listening to the siren song of more, we are deaf to the still small voice, waiting in our soul to whisper, you're enough. We're enough, you guys. I am enough. You are enough. You watching this, we are enough. Maybe God would feed us and clothe us in a pinch, but painting supplies? A museum tour of Europe? Dance classes? God's not about to spring for those. We tell ourselves. We cling to our financial concerns as a way to avoid not only our art, but our spiritual growth. Our faith is in the dollar. I have to keep a roof over my head, we say. Nobody's going to pay me to be more creative. We are awfully sure about that. Most of us harbor a secret belief that work has to be work and not play, and that anything we really want to do, like write, act, dance, must be considered frivolous and be placed a distant second. This is not true. Yeah, I just feel it, you guys. I feel like so moved. Like, it's just crazy. Like, these words are just really speaking to me. Julia then goes into a story. She goes into a story, kind of like a metaphor for what she's saying here about how when alcoholics go to an AA meeting and they say that, you know, if you take care of God's business, he will take care of ours. They have to put their faith in spirit, in the great creator. She was saying because, you know, they're in a position where they're desperate for a way to achieve sobriety. But for those of us who are not as desperate, things like believing in the great creator and praying and putting your faith in the spirit, things of that nature sound silly. They sound foolish. It doesn't sound like enough. And that is like the metaphor, like basically what she was saying here. She says, and so When it comes time for us to choose between a cherished dream and a lousy current drudgery, we often choose to ignore the dream and blame our continued misery on God. We act like it's God's fault. We didn't go to Europe, take that painting class, go on that photo shoot. We have tried to be sensible as though we have any proof at all that God is sensible, rather than see if the universe might not have supported some healthy extravagance. Gems. Julia's dropping gems. This cannot fly over the head. I feel like this is very important. This is why I'm mentioning it, okay? The next topic discussed this week, which is also the final topic, is luxury. And we can all use a little bit of more luxury, right? Right. Luxury. Okay, so luxury, I'm also going to be dropping gems, but there were a few examples, random examples that just popped up in my head. Analogies that I thought that I could use to help better explain or just express my way of internalizing these lessons, these viewpoints. Okay. Main thing, first point. For those of us who have become artistically anorectic, yearning to be creative and refusing to feed that hunger in ourselves so that we become more and more focused on our deprivation, a little authentic luxury can go a long way. The key word here is authentic. Because art is born in expansion, in a belief in sufficient supply, it is critical that we pamper ourselves for the sense of abundance it brings to us. And the example that I have here is just, again, the synchronicity that I mentioned earlier when I went to the store and got the paint. I feel like I was pushing back the time and waiting all this time to paint these pictures, like these canvases that have been haunting me for months, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there was no need for all of that. The moment that I just finally just took that opportunity to just even go see for myself, I saw that it wasn't even all of that. Now, it might have been more expensive, it might have been cheaper. I feel like it's more or less about seeing for yourself and just trying to make anything possible so that you can have that luxury. Because painting to me is a luxury, an authentic luxury, I feel. Next gem. All too often, we become blocked and blame it on our lack of money. This is never an authentic block. The actual block is our feelings of constriction, our sense of powerlessness. Art requires us to empower ourselves with choice. At the most basic level, this means choosing to do self-care. Yeah, this really spoke to me. The example I have here, this made me think of Devil in the Prada. Because, you know, she's saying self-care, and ultimately that self-care is art. And I feel like we've already touched on how society really paints art or creativity as something that's not a serious profession, not a serious path that you should pursue. But it's funny because it made me think about how this world would be boring as hell without artists and creative people, okay? Without designs and colors and shapes and people to help us connect the dots. It made me think about, Devil in the Prada, that scene where Meryl Streep is schooling Anne Hathaway, Anne Hathaway's character, about the blue, how it's not just blue, it's like a surcelin or like whatever, however you pronounce it. But she was like, yes, somebody thought to make your piece of clothing this color. And it just made me think about how even the most basic or boring styles or tastes is curated, is preconceived, like it's thought of and planned out and designed. And that is still art. It may not be your taste of art, you know, that's subjective, but it's still art. So yeah, I think by allowing ourselves to do this self-care and not tying the worth of our art to money, we can actually get somewhere. Because that's the whole point of art, though. Like, if you really like chip away all of the huff and fluff, like that is what is at the base core center of what art is supposed to be. It's supposed to be raw and real. And if you don't have money, or if that reflects the times that you're in and you're not, you know, not where you want to be or whatever, then that's authentic and that's genuine and that is art, regardless. Yeah, I also had a note here that, Julia went into how she had a friend who's this world famous artist, and he's really known for his contributions in his field, and people young and old respect him and they want his advice, and they're known for his lifetime achievement awards and all this whoop-de-whoop. But she was saying how sometimes he asks himself, why does it seem like my life work is starting to feel like my life's work? And she was saying it was because he doesn't allow himself to indulge in luxury. He denies himself of that luxury. She was giving different examples, and I thought that this was really nice. Like just time with friends, time with family, just time to himself with no agendas, no pre-planned activities, just to himself. Which reminds me of a previous topic that she mentioned earlier in this recovery, just about how, you know, artists need withdrawal. Like we need that time to ourselves. I think it was the virtue trap. It's okay to distance yourself. I think this goes hand in hand with luxury. Artist dates, authentic luxury, taking that time to yourself. What gives us true joy? That is the question to ask concerning luxury. And for each of us, the answer is very different. And then she goes into, you know, examples, into the essays about people who have different luxuries. Bernice may want raspberries, fresh raspberries. She just laughs at how pleased that she is at them. For Alan, music is a great luxury. He got himself a guitar, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, for me, I think my luxury was getting the paint, because I had everything else. It's so crazy. I had the canvas, I had the what's it called, the easel, the little thing to put the paint on. I have paint brushes. I literally just needed the paint. The paint. So happy. Like I feel like that was the highlight of week 6 for me. Painting. Like wow. I feel like I've been depriving my inner artist of that. Like there's a big smile on my face. That is my second to last note. Okay, paragraph 7. But for many blocked artists, it takes a little work to even imagine ourselves having luxury. Luxury is a learned practice for most of us. Blocked creatives are often the Cinderellas of the world, focused on others at the expense of ourselves. We may even be threatened by the idea of spoiling ourselves for once. And then, you know, she goes into how one of her writer friends were like, don't try to let go of Cinderella. Keep Cinderella, like you're Cinderella. But instead of someone else finding your glass slipper, you give yourself the glass slipper. And, you know, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes self-indulging just feels selfish. It feels wrong. When I was painting yesterday on my artist day, I definitely felt like I was doing it for too long. I kind of felt like some feelings popping up of, okay, I feel like I should be doing something else. Like it was just hard to really, in the beginning of it, just hard to settle down and get grounded. So I got over that fairly quickly, probably like 20 minutes in. Once I got really settled in, I was like, yeah, I really am enjoying myself. I originally wanted to paint all of the characters' outfits, but when I saw it was midnight, I was like, you know what? Let me choose a stopping point and we'll just pick back up tomorrow, or we'll pick back up Monday. You know, I don't have to stop. It doesn't mean that I can never paint again. And I think that's what I'm afraid of, or what my inner artist is afraid of. Putting down the paintbrush. It's like, okay, but when are we going to paint again? We need to finish it all right now. I gotta do all I can right now because I don't know when we're gonna do this again. So yeah, a bunch of connections, a bunch of things, like just beautiful observations. And the final thing that I'm going to leave you with, the final paragraphs, few sentences of luxury. Much of what we do in a creative recovery may seem silly. Silly is a defense our wet blanket adult uses to squelch our artist child. Beware of silly as a word you toss at yourself. Yes, artist dates are silly. That's the whole point. Creativity lives in a paradox. Serious art is born from serious play. And then she has 2 exercises for us to do in the task. But serious art is born from serious play. And I think what this really taught me was that if I'm going to take everything else so seriously, I need to take my art just as serious. I need to play as hard as I work. You know, work hard, play hard. These things are just ingrained in our psyche. You know, I don't mind living in a paradox. That's fine. And I don't mind feeling silly. I think I need to feel silly again and feel goofy and just feel like a kid again, because honestly, y'all, adulthood is ghetto. It's ghetto. It's overhyped. I don't know what all the hype was about. It's definitely giving 21 and under is where it's at. But no, let me stop. It's not all that bad. Once you learn the tricks and maneuver around all the bullshit, it's really not that bad. So I really feel like week 6 it was fairly well for me. I can't complain. I'm not mad at it. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I will see you guys next week on week 7. Wow. Week 7. I can't believe I'm still here. I can't believe I survived. But I will survive. Hey. All right, y'all. Be well.